It's market day, not for you, of course. You're a monk. A life of detachment from worldly goods and pleasures. But Brother Ina and Brother Olton are headed to the nearby village to trade for salt and a better sort of cabbage. You've been told to stay behind and guard the duck. You accept this assignment with the gravity it deserves. You walk the grounds like a man on a sacred mission. Sister Clotilda waddles behind you with the grace of an empress on tour. You pass the grain store, the garden, the slightly lopsided statue of Saint Bridget that seems to be gesturing at nothing in particular. Eventually, you settle near the beehives. The bees are quiet today. The flowers have been scolded into hiding by the rain, and the hives hum with a kind of contemplative low drone. Sister Clotilda sits beside you in the grass. Preening, you don't speak. But you feel the need to justify your presence anyway. We're guarding. You whisper. She does not disagree. Historical fact. Monastic communities in Ireland were often semi-self-sufficient, but trade with nearby villages remained essential. Honey, wax, vellum, and manuscripts were valuable exports, while monasteries often relied on locals for foodstuffs they couldn't produce like salt, or rumor. You lie back in the grass. Your robe absorbs moisture with enthusiasm. The clouds drift above, heavy with more decisions. You hear someone in the distance, a novice may be reciting aloud. Psalm 19. You mouth the words with him, even from here. It's comforting to be synchronized with someone you can't see. The duck falls asleep on your foot. Time becomes irrelevant. You think about the word sanctuary. Not just safety, stillness, a place where everything moves slowly enough for you to notice it. A bee lands on your sleeve. You freeze. You're not afraid. It's just ... You feel seen. Cultural tidbit. Some Irish monks believed bees carried messages between worlds. They were never swatted or cursed. In fact, entire hymns were written for bees, thanking them for their service to God and for their excellent work ethic. Like monks, one scribe wrote, but winged. You sit up very slowly. The bee buzzes away. You look around. The garden is suddenly very alive. It's not the kind of blooming that makes poets shout in joy. It's quiet, rooted, a leaf shaking here, a droplet clinging there. A rhythm so soft it doesn't announce itself. You and the duck sit a while longer. When the brothers return, they bring 3 things: a sack of salt, a small bag of dried apples, and an exaggerated story about a goat in the village square who tried to bless itself. You listen. You nod. You return to your cell with the apples, which taste like rain and patience. And as night falls, you wonder if today was the holiest day yet, not because of prayer, but because no one asked anything of you at all. The wind is behaving itself this morning. For once, it just sighs gently through the cloisters, nudging leaves across the courtyard like it's brushing crumbs off an old table. You're walking the stone paths again, tracing loops that your feet now know better than your mind does. There's a rhythm to this life, equal parts divine order and sheer repetition. You're not sure if you've found peace or just surrendered completely. Brother Tyanan is in the garden, speaking to the herbs like they owe him money. You pass by quietly. The duck follows, pecking lazily at the earth as if to say, I, too, contribute. You head toward the chapel, not for prayer this time, but for cleaning. Someone has to do it, and by someone, the abbot meant you. Inside, The space is hushed and drowsy. The stained glass windows don't do much in this light, just murmur colors across the flagstone. The altar is quiet. The candles have all burned low. Wax has pooled into odd shapes like melted saints. You kneel, cloth in hand. You wipe down the stone steps. You dust the corners. You find a beetle. You move him gently aside. He seems grateful. Historical fact: Irish chapels from this era were often humble, made of stone with timber roofs. Interiors were sparsely decorated. Focus was on the acoustics for chant and the clarity of scripture. However, some monasteries were known to hide relics behind altar stones, fragments of bone, bits of fabric, and once, famously, a toenail from St. Patrick, allegedly. As you scrub, your mind drifts. You think about the guests who've passed through here: pilgrims, tradesmen, lost sheep, possibly one bishop still unconfirmed. They all left something behind: a mark, a scent, a story no one fully heard. You find a forgotten page tucked beneath the altar, a prayer written in uneven script. The ink has faded, but the words linger. Keep watch over those who forget to pray. You fold the page and tuck it into your robe pocket. You return to your work. Dust rises. So does a sneeze, your own, echoed through sacred stone. Sister Clotilda enters midway through the job, waddling like she owns the place. Which, to be fair, she might. She inspects your progress, flaps once, and settles by the font. You mop the floor. You polish the chalice. You pause to admire how the light hits the carved wooden beams like threads of sun sewn into the ceiling. Cultural tidbit: some Irish monks believed in the sanctity of silence so deeply, they developed elaborate hand signals for daily communication, pointing to the mouth for food, making the shape of a book for scriptorium, and apparently a strange little wiggle of the fingers to indicate "I am overwhelmed by divine awe." Or possibly, "The duck stole my bread." By the time you finish cleaning, it's close to none. You light one candle. You sit in the chapel, now empty. And for a moment, the quiet feels vast enough to get lost in. You don't pray. You just breathe. Sometimes that's close enough. Tonight, there's a storm. Not the gentle kind that packs the windows like a lullaby, but the fierce, wild sort that throws its weight against the monastery walls as if trying to enter for confession. Rain lashes the shutters. The wind screams through the narrow lanes like a bard who forgot the tune halfway through. You're in the refectory, sitting near the hearth with a wool blanket wrapped around your knees. The fire is struggling to be impressive. It mostly crackles like an old man muttering into his beard. Sister Clotilda is beside you, thoroughly unbothered by the elements. She's settled into a warm pile of old robes. Occasionally, she flutters her wings just to keep them interested. Brother Sidna is trying to tell a story. It involves Saint Bridget, a runaway cow, and an angel disguised as a cabbage. You're not sure if he's quoting scripture or sleep-deprived hallucination, but you nod respectfully either way. The wind howls again. You tighten your blanket. You wonder what time it is, but the candle has burned too low to see the markings. On the wall, you listen instead. Historical fact: Irish monasteries often served as storm shelters, not only for monks but for travelers, villagers, and the occasional terrified animal. Hospitality was a sacred duty. There are records of monks giving up their own blankets to guests, even during Famines because warmth was considered an extension of faith. Brother Tyarnan brings out a small clay pot filled with spiced oats, a rare treat made from a recipe, brought by a traveler from the southern coast. You taste nutmeg, maybe, or whatever passed for nutmeg when people still thought cinnamon was medicine. You eat slowly, reverently, as though the oats themselves had taken vows that the duck steals some. You do not object. The fire finally decides to cooperate. Its light dances across the faces in the room, softening them, warming them. Brother Fergus looks younger in this glow. Brother Ina looks older. You feel exactly the same, like a soul wrapped in fog. Cultural tidbit. There's an old tale that if a monk died during a storm, their spirit would be granted immediate peace because no one could ring the bell for their passing, and God would have to notice them directly. A cozy kind of cosmic loophole. Eventually, the storm begins to fade. The wind lowers its voice. The rain becomes a murmur. You help douse the fire. You carry the pot to the kitchen. You collect the blankets, the spoons, the stories. You walk back to your cell under skies now heavy with sleep instead of rage. The walls drip quietly. The straw mat feels strangely luxurious tonight. You lie down. You tuck the blanket up to your chin. The duck tucks herself under your bench, one eye open, just in case. You whisper, "Thank you." You don't specify to whom, and you fall asleep before an answer arrives. The morning after the storm is slow to arrive. The sky, still sulking, pulls itself over the hills in bruised purples and deep blue-gray. Everything outside glistens, the kind of soaked that isn't quite clean, just resigned. The monastery breathes quietly, like a stone beast that survived the night and now wants porridge. You rise without a bell. Your body is already used to the rhythm. It wakes even before you do, moving through habits carved deep into bone and muscle. The chapel is still cold. The floor still hurts. And yet, you kneel. The first candle you light sputters, then steadies. Its glow slices a small island of warmth out of the shadows. A few others enter slowly, nodding in that special monastic way that somehow means both good morning and I barely survived that weather. Please don't ask me about it. Brother Aud has brought a scrap of new vellum today, soft and pale, ready for a psalm that's been weighing on his mind since matins. You envy his energy, or his insomnia. You spend the morning in the garden. Yes, it's muddy. Yes, the duck is there, waiting, like a tiny audit, but the storm has knocked fresh green into the world. The cabbages look dazed but determined. A few herbs that you were certain had died last month are suddenly perky. Life, it turns out, is impolite about quitting. You plant some garlic with Brother Ina. He talks the whole time, mostly about birds. You don't respond. Not because you disagree, just because the birds are listening, and you don't want to offend them. Historical fact. Garlic was prized in early Irish medicine and monastic kitchens alike. It was believed to purify blood, fend off illness, and in at least one record, drive away the spirits of listlessness. Whether that worked or not, monks planted it in neat little rows tenderly, like prayer beads pressed into soil. Back inside, you take inventory of the ink supplies. The black ink is fine. The red ink is low. The gold leaf is hidden, because Brother Tyarnan tried to illuminate a marginal cat again and got too ambitious with the sparkle, you write a short note requesting more red ink. You sign it with your name, just your name. No title. No blessing. Just you tuck it under the abbot's door and walk away before anyone can say a word. Cultural tidbit: in some monasteries, scribes added personal notes at the end of manuscripts, often expressing exhaustion, joy, or mild complaints. Phrases like, "Let whoever reads this remember me," and "Writing is a painful trade," have been found in ancient margins. The most honest theology sometimes lives in the footnotes. As evening comes, the whole monastery slows to a hush. The air tastes like rain and stone. The bell for Compline rings. You walk to the chapel. For the 100th time, for the first time, you kneel, you pray, you listen. And this time, you don't drift off or lose the thread. You stay present, grounded, even as the chants rise and fall around you, like a sea you finally stopped trying to swim across. Afterwards, you leave your sandals by the door and walk barefoot to your cell. It's a little warmer tonight. Or maybe you are. The duck is already asleep. You light a small candle, not for reading, just for the shape of the light it makes on the wall. You breathe. You let go. The candle flickers gently now, casting long golden shadows that stretch like lazy arms across the stone. The wind outside has gone quiet, just a slow, distant hush, like the monasteries being rocked to sleep by something older than time. Your breath settles. Your eyes grow heavy. Everything around you feels softened. The walls, the floor, even the air itself smoothed by centuries of footsteps and whispered prayers, by candle smoke and the patient erosion of stone. The duck shifts once in her sleep. A feather floats up, then drifts down, spiraling gently, like a falling note at the end of a long, tired song. Somewhere out in the hills, a bell rings far too faint to hear, but your bones remember it. They vibrate in answer. The monastery sleeps. The pages rest in their stacks. The garden drinks the last of the storm. The bees dream of clover. And you, tucked beneath your woolen blanket, with the scent of rain still lingering in your hair, drift deeper. Time no longer matters here. You are safe. You are small. You are part of something vast and slow and kind. So rest now. Let the prayers dissolve into silence. Let the stories wander. Without you. Let the duck stand guard over dreams you will not remember. And if the wind sings again, let it sing to your sleep, not your waking. Good night, pilgrim. You made it through the day.